Hi friends, Scott Postma here with a brief thought about Gyges Ring and the internet. In Plato's Republic, Socrates and his interlocutors are in pursuit of a good definition and understanding of justice. When we get to Book 2, Glaucon suggests that there's no man so virtuous that he could resist the temptation of doing injustice to whomever he pleased, if he could do so without fearing detection. Glaucon says that even those who practice justice do so unwillingly. They do it from an incapacity to do injustice. He suggests that we do this experiment where we give two men, a just man and an unjust man, license to do whatever he wants. And then we follow them around and watch where their desires lead them. Glaucon suggests that we would catch the just man red-handed, going the same way as the unjust man, both out of a desire to get the better. And he says this is what nature naturally pursues as good. It's human nature, and it's law which by force perverts it to honor equality. He says we could do an experiment where we could give the sort of power to these men that the ancient ancestor of Gyges once got when he found a ring. And he begins to tell the story, myth of Gyges Ring. Gyges is a shepherd who experiences this thunderstorm and an earthquake. And he sees this chasm open up where he's pasturing his sheep. And he descends into the chasm to explore it and finds this hollow bronze horse with a corpse inside. On the corpse, he discovers this gold ring that if he puts it on his finger and adjusts it just right, it turns him invisible. He decides to test it on his fellow shepherds and discovers that he can become invisible and let them talk about him. So he uses this power to sneak into the king's palace and commit adultery with the king's wife, and then he kills the king and takes the king's throne. Now, it's probably evident at this point that Gyges' ring, along with its sister Norse myth, the Ring of Nibelung, is the basis for Tolkien's One Ring in the Lord of the Rings. For Tolkien, the ring symbolizes power and man's inability to harness it justly. That's why Gollum's deformed by the ring and Boromir is killed because of it. Even Bilbo and Frodo are changed and nearly killed because of the ring. For Plato, the myth of Gyges' ring is a thought experiment that asks us to consider what we would do if we were certain we would never get caught and never get punished for doing it. In the Republic, Glaucon is convinced that no man, no matter how just he seems, is capable of resisting the temptation to take what he wants, to sleep with who he wants, and to kill who he wants, if fear of the law is removed. That is, he'll never be detected and he'll never be punished. It seems that the Greeks, even without the aid of Scripture, are able to recognize what we Christians call the fallen nature of man. And this brings me to the intended point of this video. The internet, along with other tools and technologies, is a kind of modern Gyges ring. To get a glimpse of our own soul, we need only ask what websites we would visit, what accounts we would create, and what and how would we engage with other people, and who would we pretend to be, if it was certain that in all these circumstances we could do so undetected and without punishment. This is the basis actually on which modern software and browser filters work. It's why they seem helpful. They attempt to prevent a person from doing what they want to do on the internet, since they won't be able to do it without being detected. But it's for the same reason why monitoring software and browser filters really aren't so helpful. They don't address the heart of the issue, and the heart of the issue is the human heart. What Glaucon got right is that mankind is fallen, so it's impossible for him to be just without a law, an external force that prevents him from doing what his unjust heart wants to do. And it's why so many people today rely on monitoring software and browser filters. They don't realize that the heart of the issue can only be fixed by applying the gospel to it, not more law. You see, Paul says to the church at Philippi, in chapter 2, "Beloved, as you've always obeyed, so now not only in my presence, but much more in my absence. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling." He says, "For it's God who works in you both to will," that's your human desire, "and to work," that's your human actions, "for his good pleasure." God does it. It's the gospel that changes a person's want to, so that when the restraints of the law are removed, they don't want to do injustice, even if they could do so without ever being detected or punished. Now, for some situations, I agree, monitoring and filtering software are helpful and even necessary. And the point of this video isn't to dissuade any parents from using such tools or keeping a close eye on their children's internet activity. Quite the contrary. What this message is intending to communicate is that we ought to do the one without really leaving the other undone. If parents discover that their children are using the internet in ways that bring about injustice to their own souls, or even injustice to other people's souls, it should be an important indicator that there's a heart issue that needs some attention. And it's often the case. What's needed when there's a heart issue isn't more law, but more gospel. Thanks for listening. God bless.